apparently there's an adage that says that you can teach people tech skills, but you can't teach them not to be a jerk or, not to be annoying. And that is the reason for my video today. Hi guys, my name is Susan, and today I'm going to be talking about some of the soft skills that you need to know to progress, or to significantly improve your journey in tech as a software engineer. I know it's very easy to be like, I have all the tech skills, I have it all covered, I can do everything, I don't need to have all the soft skills. But the truth is that you definitely want to have some soft skills to help you to have a more fulfilling career, and to be able to work well with others, right? Because you definitely want to work with people that you might not be best friends with, but that are civil and cordial and know how to communicate, So that's the reason I'm going to be talking about this today. I think it's so important to talk about it. So the first thing I'll talk about is problem solving. And I think that this is very important for all software engineers to have. We come across different problems every day. We come across different issues, business requirements, bugs that we need to work on. And it's very important to be able to break down these problems into bits when they come. It's very important to be smart about solving a problem and not just take it and be like, what's the next thing? Let's go solving, right? Because you find out that if you take the wrong approach into solving the problem, you might end up spending more time than you should. You might end up having to redo that solution because it wasn't optimized for the problem. And yeah, there are just so many things that you could end up doing if you don't properly analyze the problem. So this is where problem solving is very important for developers. In problem solving, the skill that is, top on the list is critical thinking. You need to be able to think about how the complexity of this problem, if it is complex, how to solve it, what are the different ways that you can go about solving it, what are the impacts of these solutions to the team and to the business, what are the pros and cons of solving this problem, and things like that. So for instance, if I want to build an authentication system on my app, right? What's the benefit of using one authentication over the other, right? What are the pros and cons? Has this authentication system had any form of hacking, before? Or has it had any form of problem? Or is there enough support within the community to be able to have a robust solution, right? So these are the things that you need to bear in mind, besides just being able to code, being able to write JavaScript and React and Angular, you need to also be able to properly understand the problem, because I think that is key to solving a problem. If you don't understand the problem and you try go ahead to solve it, there's a very high chance that, how, I don't know, maybe not everybody experienced this, or maybe not everybody watching this video experienced this, but how when we were in school, you have probably read something for exams, right? And then you get your exam question and it's different from what you read. And I know some people actually would start writing the solutions, like the solution to a different problem to that question, just to make themselves feel like, my reading can't be in vain. I'm going to give you what you did not ask me. That's in that sense, or that kind of analogy is what I'm talking about here, where you're solving a problem and you're giving a different solution to the problem instead of the actual solution that this problem needs. So yeah, that's something to definitely keep in mind. The second thing, and I think this one applies to every profession, this is not just like a software engineering soft skill, it is communication. Communication is so vital in software engineering, and I talk about this a lot because I think it's really important. The way you communicate is important, how you communicate, understanding your audience, all those things are really, really important in a software engineering team. So I think one of the main things to keep in mind when talking about how to improve your communication is basically knowing how to break down complex ideas, right? Software engineering as a career has a lot of complex parts, has a lot of patterns and ideas and things that you need to bear in mind, right? And sometimes it is hard to communicate your idea even to your fellow software engineer. right? Because yeah, different backgrounds, different things that they have learned that might be different from what you've learned. So it's important because, and the reason why I need to point this out is because many software engineers just want to get the work done without talking to anybody. Like, I don't have time, just leave me in a room, let me build the solution to this, drop my MR. If you have anything to say to me, put it in the MR and let's keep it moving, right? So it's very important to know how to communicate even the complex ideas to your team. There is one post I put on my Instagram. It talked about the difference between a junior, middle, and senior engineer, and difference particularly that I kept in mind about the middle and senior engineer is technical communication, right? The middle engineer, or mid-level, sorry, I don't know why I said middle engineer. The mid-level engineer might have some communication skills, but I think that one critical thing that, you know, is important, and I'm not saying mid-level engineers don't have this, you know, one critical thing that, you know, makes you senior or makes you, apart from your tech skills, is being able to have vital and very concise technical communication, right? You are able to communicate your thoughts properly. Person you're talking to understands, or to a degree has some clue what you're talking about, right? And you're able to involve like some form of dialogue, you know, where you can answer questions and things like that. So yeah, for me, it's very important to be able to have that skill, to have the skill to be able to break things down, break complex ideas down. Another part to this, which I think is really, you know, can be helpful a lot in technical communication. If you're a junior engineer watching this is also helpful for you as well. When you're communicating a complex idea, you can use analogies, right? When I think about authentication and authorization, there's an analogy that comes to my mind, which is, you know, for authentication, you have the right to go for a party. Maybe you're invited to a party. You have your IV, right? You can go for the party and nobody, you know, harasses you. The IV is proof that you were invited, right? And that to me is a picture of what authentication is like, because you put in your username and password, email and password, and you get access to a system. Now for authorization, there are specific places you can go to. So there are specific things that, for example, now you go to a particular party or you go to a building or a hall, you will see that some doors will have something like only authorized personnel are allowed here, meaning you are not supposed to go there, right? So that to me is a picture of what authorization looks like, because for authorization you have roles, you know, you have access to specific things. So a random person cannot just go and, you know, be the admin. There are specific people that are admins to, you know, some applications. There are people that have some different level of access, right? So that's kind of like an analogy, right? That can be helpful in helping to communicate your ideas. So be free to use analogies, no matter how simple and basic they may look. You know, I feel like analogies help a lot, even for PRs. I use MRs for the most part, but for PRs, pull requests, for those that don't know what that is, it's like a kind of request for other members of your team to analyze your code and give you feedback and approve it if it's good to go. So there are conversations that take place on these PRs that are important, you know, for you to get information and give feedback and explain your thought process and things like that. So this is also an avenue to give, okay, maybe not analogy, but to communicate properly what you're trying to pass across, because for the most part, PRs are, you know, you would actually write comments and not communicate. So it's very important to be clear, if you get what I mean. And a third component of communication, which is very important, significantly important, is communicating to a non-technical audience. It could be your product designer, your project manager, your, you know, someone else on the management team. And it's pretty important for you to be able to, I wouldn't say sell, but to be able to communicate whatever your ideas are, whatever your thoughts are, whatever your solutions are, without using technical jargon, basically. Like, you should, as much as possible, be able to speak in a way that they understand, right? And probably also show them the trade-offs of doing a particular thing over another thing, explain to them what this means to them and how it affects the business. Things like that is very important to be able to do. Think about it this way. I think, to me, this is just like basic empathy, right? Because imagine if somebody went to the doctor and the doctor is telling them, oh, you have this name that they've never heard before. Of course, I'm not using like a serious, crazy example here. Maybe it's just something that they need to take care of, right? Maybe not so serious, right? But the patient doesn't know what it is, right? They're like, can you let me know what's going on here? Like, am I okay? Am I fine? I don't need to know the meaning of all these medical jargons you're telling me. Just let me know what I need to do if I'm fine, and let me know what next, So think about it that way. If you were in the position of the patient, put yourself in that person's shoes. Would you like to understand properly what someone is saying, or just taking out the technical jargon and it wasn't really a helpful conversation, so to speak? So yeah, let's learn to as much as possible be communicate with empathy, right? Especially, and it comes from a place of knowing your audience as well, right? And yeah, asking people to ask you questions, right? Asking people to ask you questions if you said something and you feel like it didn't go, like maybe it just went over the head of people, you're not sure how they took it, then ask people to ask you questions as well. Okay, so I think that the third thing that I would say is that you want to try to be productive. And I know I'm sounding like, oh, why so serious and stuff right now? But yeah, I feel like, it's a skill that might look like, oh, it's obvious, you should be productive. But especially now that we are, many people are remote, especially as a software engineer, there's sometimes a tendency, just to leave things or just to let things slide. And I feel like, this skill, it's a combination of a technical skill and a soft skill, but it encompasses so many different things. For example, it could just be like escalating early. Like, you see that you're working on a task and it's going to take longer than you anticipated. You overestimated the effort and the time it would take, for you to do this. Let somebody know, let your manager know that I thought this was going to take, so amount of time. I think I'm going to need more time for this. And don't wait for when the deadline is close. So if you've been given a deadline, right, don't wait for when that time comes to now, start saying those things, because it doesn't really help, right? So things like that, escalating things early, collaborating with other members of the team, asking for help if you need help, like swallow your pride and ask for help. If you're working on a task and it's taking too long and you know that there's someone else on the team that can help you, this is not to say be lazy and just, ask for help at the slightest, at the slightest confusion, so to speak. But it's more like, as much as possible, just be productive in doing these things, right? Ask for help when you need to ask for help. If you notice any concerns with the software, raise the concern. I see that this app is doing this and this. Or you notice a bug, put the bug on the board, right? Put it out there so that anybody that is free at that time can maybe take it up and look at it. So these are some of the ways that you can be a productive member of the team. So I feel like all these things may appear small, but they actually go a long way in preventing trouble down the line, or just helping the output of the team in general. Now, the fourth thing I would say is be proactive. Take initiative. If you see something that needs to be done, you might not be the one to do it. You by just supporting, maybe helping someone else. For example, someone is working on a task, they're taking time on it. You've worked on the task before, you feel you could help, reach out to them, ask them how you can help, right? Of course, I feel that anybody can be proactive on the team, whether you're a junior or a senior. You don't have to wait till you know everything. So as a junior or even mid-level or senior, anybody, if there's something currently going on the team, maybe there's a new feature that is being, that we're trying to build, right? Or that you are trying to build on your team, or other members of the team are trying to build, and you've read or you've done some research, you can decide to go do some research, right? And see all the great options, right? And present it to the team and be like, hey, I saw this, and this. I feel like this option might be better than this option, right? It just shows that you care about working on the team, right? So I think these are things that are important, for you to be able to do as a software engineer. It might look like, oh, it's not a technical skill, but yeah, those little bits here and there actually help, the team go a long way. So yeah, like I mentioned before, it could be research. You've done some research and you want to present it to the team. It could also be like noticing, like refactoring code or implementing a feature that already exists on the app, but in a different way that is probably cleaner. So these are some of the ways that you can, be proactive. And the final one I want to mention is accountability. And I think that this is an interesting one because most people, so this is what I want to say about it. So a lot of times we come across situations where maybe you finished a task, right? You worked on something, somebody else works on something else, and what they worked on affects your code or affects the solution you built before. So it creates a regression bug, and then you probably have to work on it again, or things like that. So I think one important thing for any software engineer to do or to understand is that building software is team effort. Like, you don't go blaming people, and being like, oh my goodness, you created this mess, and all of a sudden, like, what I built is all messed up and stuff. Like, I'm not saying don't give feedback, but don't get into the habit of blaming other people, because at the end of the day, if you're really doing your work as a software engineer, before that bug got into production, you should have noticed while doing code reviews, right? So as much as possible, take accountability or be accountable, take responsibility, take ownership of stuff. When things get broken, don't wait around, for someone in quotes to come fix it, except maybe someone has already been assigned. But if you have the skills, look it up and try to fix it as well, because at the end of the day, it's teamwork, right? It's not like one person that is assigned the blame for doing something, or you want to push the blame to someone else. As much as possible, don't forget that you should be accountable for the software, for the team software. You should be accountable. So don't go, being the blame giver, right, so to speak. So yeah, these are some of the things that I think are very important for you as a software engineer to learn as soft skills, or to, even if you don't have this, like, it's nobody brought soft skills from the womb, right? You can learn it, you can read books on it, you can see how you can be more useful to your team. You can ask questions, ask your manager, how you can help, right? These are things that are pretty useful for you to learn as a software engineer. And yeah, I hope you learned something from this video. If you're new to this channel, thank you for watching my video. I have some other videos here regarding tech and my tech journey, and things that you can learn as well. So I encourage you to watch it. If you're already a subscriber here, thank you. If you've not yet subscribed, please subscribe to my channel. I talk about tech, faith, and lifestyle topics, and you're definitely going to have fun on this channel. Thank you for watching my video again, and have a good rest of the day. Bye.